people don't realize that they use AI every day.
Mm.
Like if you've got a smartphone sat in front of you on your desk, your face recognition, that's AI. If you shop on ASOS, right, and you get your suggested jeans that come up or t-shirts that you just can't not buy, that's AI picking that up, right? So I think it's not something that's scary. It's something that's just the next evolution of the tech that we're already using in the practices or in the businesses that we're working in currently.
If you're an accounting firm that's leaning on the fact that you use tech as a differentiation strategy, it's a losing strategy in my opinion. I mean, obviously, right, we're talking about a small percentage of the market here that are actually embracing tech in any meaningful way, agreed. There's a huge proportion of the market, the majority in fact, that are way behind on this.
Morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone and where you're joining us from in the world. My name is James Marshall, co-founder and chief evangelist of R.E.P.R.E.S.E.N.T. Welcome back to the how-to series. Today, oh my God, so many things going on. Firstly, welcome back to the how-to series for how to get away with SaaS. Most importantly though, it's Jordan Vickery's birthday. Jordan, happy birthday!
Thank you, mate.
Happy birthday to you. I told you I'd sing.
Nice. You've got to commit to it now, all the way through.
No, that's boring. We've only got half now.
We don't want to interrupt you, Will. I was expecting like a good 4 or 5 minutes there, mate. Or maybe the
Alexa,
happy birthday.
play happy birthday.
Last mixed by happy birthday.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. The
Alexa,
most important part of management, delegation, eh? Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Let's kick off. Let us know in the comment section or the chat section where you are joining us from in the UK or even in the world. Let us introduce our panel. So first things first, Jordan Vickery, aka White Load, aka These Swans Are Sick. Jordan, welcome. How are you getting on, mate?
Yeah, doing good, mate. Can't complain. Always nice to spend your birthday on a webinar, especially with two chaps as good as yourselves. Couldn't say no.
Well, listen, that's why you're here. I appreciate
it.
And very, very happy birthday again. Expert number 2, Will Rush. How are you getting on, mate?
I'm all right, mate. It's the day before a bank holiday weekend, right? It's not my birthday, so I'm not as happy as Jordan, but yeah, you can't complain apart from the miserable weather.
I get it. We've got this burning thing in the sky up north, mate. I believe you call it the sun down south. Yeah, it's gone pretty well. Gone pretty well indeed. Guys, let's kick this off. Let's jump straight into it. We're here for really 2 reasons today. We want to make this open and supportive, whether you are a SaaS vendor, whether you are an accountant. We want to look at and talk about SaaS, software as a service. We want to talk about what's really, really important. I think, Jordan, I'm going to come to you on this point firstly, particularly with regards to SaaS and obviously your experience and quite an expansive experience within the SaaS industry, supporting multiple organizations, really break into both UK as well as international markets as part of your current and also previous roles, right? SaaS is an incredibly competitive landscape. Take us through your pearls of wisdom, if you would, as to what a SaaS vendor needs to know in order to be able to effectively market themselves.
I mean, it's going to be probably a really obvious answer to some, but if you want to be able to effectively market yourself, you need a good product to market in the first place. You know, it's very difficult to grow and market a product that does not have product market fit in a market. And we see that actually sometimes in the accounting space, where new entrants will come in that have almost they're looking for a problem for their product to solve, as opposed to building a product that solves a problem. And what you find is that these products will always have an uphill struggle when it comes to growth and marketing. The actual growth and marketing piece, like, it's hard work, but it's relatively easy once you found a level of product market fit. It's actually building a product that has product market fit in the first place, that you can see a level of scalability in, that is the challenge. And I think once you've cracked that, then it's just a case of how do you how do you capture existing demand, and how do you generate new demand? And both of those things, yeah, like they're not rocket science. They do take a lot of work and a lot of persistence and trial and error, but ultimately the hard part is actually getting a product that people want to buy in the first place.
Love it. So number one, get a product people actually want, solve or fix an issue, provide a solution for something that's real and actually exists.
Yep.
Point number two, quantify that, right? Really simple, really straightforward. I guess, Will, I'll come to you on this next point, mate. As GM for the UK for R.E.P.R.E.S.E.N.T, if you've not seen it already, everyone, booking a demo at Digital Accountancy Show. But I can't tell you why just now, and I'm sure Will can tell you that as and when he wants to, whether it's right now or even in the future. But Will, as GM for the UK for a SaaS vendor, i.e. R.E.P.R.E.S.E.N.T, with a brilliant solution, you've broken into the UK market. That's happened very, very recently. Yeah. And I know you've already had, considerable success, right? So from a vendor's perspective, take us through how you've done that and I guess what that unique formula is that you've had so far, mate.
Hopefully you can hear me because my microphone keeps jumping between my my microphone and my laptop. But I think initially, like the first couple of months, really, that validation piece, I think it was difficult with R.E.P.R.E.S.E.N.T because it's not a brand new product, right? It's landed well in a market that is fairly similar to the UK. I think the Australian market is probably 5, maybe even a few more years ahead of what the UK accounting market is when it comes to the adoption of tech, especially in the smaller firms, I think, as well, and the smaller bookkeeping firms and accounting firms. So it was coming to the UK with maybe just having your eyes open a little bit and saying, well, we know that it fits this demographic in Aussie, but actually that might be different here. Like, who is the product going to land really well with? And can we have a frank and open and honest conversation with a few firms that are in that space and not looking to sell the product to them, just speaking to them and getting feedback and finding out, like, what do you want to see from a product like R.E.P.R.E.S.E.N.T? What are the things that you want to solve, or the problems that you've got in your practice, and can we solve them with what we've got at the moment, or can we develop a product to solve them a bit better? And listening. And that's what R.E.P.R.E.S.E.N.T have done over the last, and I think that's what all good SaaS vendors do is listen to their customer base, right? And build off of that, not just build what they think is the right thing, but actually build what people want. And I think that's where a lot of SaaS vendors maybe fail a little bit with the way that they're adopting the product or developing a product that they've got and not listening enough.
We tend to find, like, going into like SaaS vendors, like if we think about like a scale of like things you need to do, right? It's product market fit. The next stage, which kind of sounds like where R.E.P.R.E.S.E.N.T at, is almost message market fit, where you kind of, the product's right and it helps people, but you're trying to understand, like, what's the best proposition and the best almost wedge here for people to kind of understand the problems that the product solves. And then beyond that, it's really kind of growth and scale. But what tends to happen is that once products move out of product market fit stage and even the messaging stage, they forget to speak to their customers. They kind of go, oh, the customer research piece is done. We don't need to do that anymore because we've got a product that solves problems and it was growing. But actually, like, it needs to be this constant feedback loop of going back to the customers, surveying them on what they like about the product, what they don't like, what problems it's solving. Make sure you're revisiting those use cases, the jobs to be done and the problems that it's solving, because actually they shift over time. And as the product matures and grows, it starts to solve for different problems. Suddenly, some of those problems can become bigger problems than the initial problems your product was solving. So we see that with a number of clients we work with, where they actually just don't have this feedback loop in place. And it's one of the easiest things to implement, actually. But it can make a huge difference, not just for marketing, but for sales, product, customer success, pretty much the entire organization.
Yeah, it's, and that development pipeline or that roadmap, if your customers aren't contributing to that roadmap, then unfortunately you're not going to get it right. It's just not gonna work.
I was I've got a first-hand story of this from an accountant in the UK, somebody I went to see last week, actually, and they use a solution available on the UK market for managing their proposals, contracts, various different things as part of that. And the feedback that they gave me about a vendor in particular was there was a piece of functionality, and as a salesperson, right, regardless of job title, I'm a salesperson and I'm proud of it, but they talked about a piece of functionality within the software that had been turned off, a particular dashboard to be able to see what has happened and what has been closed won in the last 30 days in your organization, right? Which, you know, the three of us might think, yeah, it's pretty integral, right? The reason why it had been turned off is only 30% of this particular vendor's client base were using that dashboard and that piece of functionality, right? You know, my thought process on that is actually that's an integral thing. And it's not a case of, well, looking at this report and this data, only 30% of my clients are using this, so I'm going to turn it off because not many people are getting benefit from it. I'd think at that point, well, actually, only 30% of my client base are using the system properly to be able to track and report on that information as part of that dashboard, right?
Yeah, it's opportunity for your account management and sales team, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I'll add a couple of 10 cents in here, right? So from a sales aspect, so I think one of the biggest things that I see with SaaS vendors, and every SaaS vendor usually has a pretty slick website, especially the SaaS vendors that use Journey for the marketing. There you go, Jordan. Thank me next week. It is your birthday, so I'll give you a good shout out there. What a lot of people do is quantify that potential ROI for a client. It's going to save you X number of hours, X amount of staff, so on and so forth, right? And they usually do that on their website somewhere. When it comes to actual practical application with a lot of SaaS vendors, they jump to a demo really quickly. The price is already on the website. Clients know what the software is going to be, but they're not really looking towards what a client's metrics and figures are for quantifying that return on investment, justifying their fee for their solution, right? So actually building up with the client's details and information, what is the ROI from both a financial, operational, but as well as a personal impact for the potential users? That's something that I know few, as opposed to many, have as part of their sales strategy when they're obviously looking to win in a UK market. But I think today is about giving as much value as possible to SaaS vendors and accountants. Let's jump into the accounting side of things, right? So thinking about for accountants on today's call, what do they need? And I guess, Will, I'll probably come to you on this point firstly, mate, right? So you are an accountant. There is so many different solutions that you use, right? How would you suggest for an accountant to incorporate usability of SaaS into a value-add proposition when dealing with prospective clients?
I think it's a big question. That's a very big question, James.
How long have we got?
Yeah, right.
I'm glad he went to you with that one first, mate. It gives me time to think.
I know, right? Give me some time to
listen.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just filling to give you some time.
That's fine. I'll give you a little bit more of a fill, mate. Paxman ain't got nothing on me, bro. Come on, hit me. What you got?
So I think to quantify the use of technology, right, within an accounting practice, they need to look at. There's obviously key output metrics like how much work are we getting done for this client and what cost, what are we charging this client, how are we going to be billing them, how are we going to be working with them, etc. But I think as well, if you want to really communicate that value to your client base, is have some real life stories. Have some stories of how the use of technology with some of your other clients maybe has improved the way that they work, or the growth of their business working with you as an accounting firm. This business that's similar to you, they're in the same industry as you. We work with them at the moment, and we've managed to increase their revenue, or we've managed to get them funding from this partner that we work with. We've managed to help them grow their business by using the bits of technology that we have at our disposal. I think that sort of social proof or that use case is really, really important when it comes to sales. Like sales is everyone buys on emotion. You don't buy because you have the product does everything that you want to do. If someone really flicks on to a problem that you've got and they're solving that problem for you, and the solution to that problem gives you more time with your kids, or it gives you more money in your bank account so that you can go on more holidays every year, then that's the product that you're going to choose, because it's an emotional decision rather than just a cut and dry decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess you've just really, really nicely built there, Will, and quantifying that ROI, right? So a personal or even an operational. Some people want to spend less time with their kids, FYI, and like I'm not here to judge, so that's completely cool. I'm sure
I've only got about another 7 or 8 years with mine until they're out on the doorstep. So.
Out on the doorstep. Great words. I might quote you on that in the future. Jordan, with a marketing hat on, sir, right? Think about that outward approach. We have seen, really, really great influencers within the accounting and finance space talk about their usability of software to differentiate their service and their proposed solution over and above others, right? What do you think is really, really important for an accountant to do when marketing their services, but incorporating, SaaS as part of that offer?
Well, I guess the first thing, and maybe this is an unpopular opinion, I don't think tech is a differentiator. I think tech was a differentiator 10 years ago. I think it's table stakes today. I think if you're an accounting firm that's leaning on the fact that you use tech as a differentiation strategy, it's a losing strategy, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, right, we're talking about a small percentage of the market here that are actually embracing tech in any meaningful way, agreed. There's a huge proportion of the market, the majority, in fact, that are way behind on this. But I still don't think tech is a differentiator. And I think if we think about this from the client's perspective, they also don't really care about the tech. What they care about, and Will alluded to this perfectly, is the outcome. Like, what does it actually mean for them in their business? If you put an app in front of them and you're talking about all the great features and functionality of the app, and they're a busy plumber or a busy electrician, or they're trying to run their business, the likelihood is they don't really care. Like, all they care about is like, well, what is it going to do for me? Like, does it mean I can spend 10 hours a week less, paying bills? Does it mean I can spend 10 hours a week less managing my bookkeeping? Like, they're very much about like, what is the outcome of this as opposed to what is the actual tech. So I think from a marketing perspective, yeah, sure, like, share the fact that you use tech. I wouldn't necessarily lean on it as the key differentiator, but talk about the outcomes more. Like, what is the actual outcome of embracing this technology, and what does that mean for you and your business? And Will was right. People buy on emotion, and that they justify with logic. So, tap into those emotional pain points.
I think as with the use of tech and being able to provide those use cases, it very much relies on the vendor that you're working with. There's lots of vendors that sell just to accountants. They don't sell through accountants. And to sell through accountants, I think vendors fail on that quite often because they don't get the right messaging that the accountants can then talk to their clients about. They don't give them the right tools to be able to sell those products to their clients effectively. And they need to look at how, like Jordan just said, quantifying the use of that bit of tech rather than just saying, oh, we use this bit of tech to do this. Yeah, we'll get it in front of you, but actually quantifying it and giving them a reason to want to use it.
I think they fail because they think about it as selling through an accounting firm. I know that's the term, but actually, if that's the way you think about how you partner with an accounting firm, then I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure. Because if you think that the accountant is going to become a reseller of your software to their clients, you're sorely mistaken. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong, mate. I'm just saying it's the phrase. It's like, it's very much a partnership. It's not a case of, here's my product, go and sell it to your clients. It's a case of, how do we effectively partner with you so that you see the value in the product, and then you can actually help your clients to see the value in it. And then it's this huge activation and customer success piece afterwards that is, by far the most important thing. And there's, we've spoken about this research that Richard Sargent's been doing at the moment with regards to the cost of technology and how firms aren't actually seeing the benefits as much as they could. And it's pointing quite heavily to the fact that there's this kind of missing piece around customer success and activation, where accounting firms aren't getting the support that they actually need. So I think, I can't remember why I went down this train of thought, but
I want to play devil's advocate slightly there. Like, do you think it's because of the vendors not providing that support, or do you think it's because the accountants aren't taking up that support or reaching out and speaking to the vendors effectively, because they're saying, I'm too busy, I haven't got enough time to do this, I haven't got the time to sit down and spend the time with an account manager or a customer success manager? Like, do you think it's a bit of both, or do you think it's just the vendors?
I think it's fair to say there's an element of both in there, right? Like, if we're talking about smaller firms that don't have dedicated resource in-house to actually spend time researching and implementing technology, then it's always going to be an uphill struggle because accountants are so busy. Like, and this just gets pushed to the bottom of the priority list because doing work for their clients and making sure it's done properly always takes precedent.
Yep.
I do think that there is more vendors can do. I think it's always going to be a struggle, right? Especially if we're looking at vendors that have been venture backed, because from the investor's perspective, 9 times out of 10, they're pushing on top line growth. And if you go back to them and say, actually, you know, we're taking resource and budget that we should be pushing into growing and building awareness and demand and funding it into actually the success and activation piece, a lot of them will be like, not so sure about that. So it's a bit of a struggle. Like I don't know, it kind of feels like one of those weird vicious circles where there's a few things pulling and that could happen, but ultimately it's just going to keep spinning around. I'm not really sure how to resolve it.
If you had a solution, mate, you'd be a very rich man, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Sometimes, guys, there's something that resonates with me here. Sometimes in business, in order to be successful, all you need to do is introduce the right people, right? So one of the things that I picked up on very quickly following the launch of phase 2 for R.E.P.R.E.S.E.N.T was the lovely human that is Lee Stallard from Nomad Video, right? And actually a solution going from the post that I read of his on LinkedIn. He was kind of there at the launch event, got a little bit inspired about, come on, go do it. And he released a solution that I've been thinking about for a while. I had a little catch up with him the other week, and he's really, really got something there, both working with the vendors to ensure the enablement of their solutions is correctly penetrating into the right use cases via the accountant with that client and the end user, right? But also working with the accountant as well as part of that solution. I'm really interested as to what he's got to develop, because Lee comes from a very extensive SaaS background. It's nothing that I do, so it's not a shameless plug for my services here, but I was really quite taken back, right? I mean, if you think about, you know, you look at reports and you look at spend of technology and how that's increased, right? You know, you've got technology. We'll get onto the next point shortly, you know, the buzzword of the minute around AI and your thoughts around that, guys. But actually, if you think about it in this way, we've all seen from a commercial perspective, buy 10 licenses for 10 clients at £10 a month, right? License, put them there. But then you end up with firms being saturated with licenses that they've not got time to effectively deploy those to clients. So the benefits of putting clients onto cloud-based technologies or SaaS products isn't materialized. And actually, that's then a sticking point and a friction point between the vendor and the accountant, because the accountant wants to cancel licenses that they haven't deployed and they're now paying for after a free period of whatever, and they're dissatisfied with the vendor, right? So actually looking at that commercial enablement strategy and that rollout and that client retention, you equally need to look at that onboarding process and how easy you're making it for your clients to deploy those licenses, right? I think that's on that section in particular, my mic drop moment done. Guys, we've got just less than 10 minutes left, and there's a really important part that we've not covered yet, which is usability, not just technology, but AI and the AI landscape that comes into that moving forward. Will, as GM for the UK for Expert, which definitely have a brilliant take on an AI-based SaaS solution, I guess give us your 10 cents on what the market's got to come where it comes to AI for the future.
It scared me a little bit when I was at Fab. What, last week? Was it last week? Week before?
Yeah.
There was maybe
like
three or four people that walked past our stand at Fab and went, "Oh, AI, I'm scared of that."
Really?
And I was like, "Pardon? What are you saying?" It obviously sparked a conversation because I wanted to dig a bit further into what they were scared of, and I think it's the trust element obviously comes into it. They don't trust it because they don't understand it as much as maybe they could potentially. But ultimately, when you've got vendors that are spending the amount of money and the amount of time to invest in an AI solution that Expert has, and there's other like Genesis or even your QuickBooks, your Xeros, those sorts of products that have developed AI, they're not going to do it half-heartedly. They're not going to risk the security protocols that they've got in their products. They're not going to risk your clients' data being shared with anything that it shouldn't be shared with. They're going to develop the correct security measures on that. So it's nothing to be scared of in that sense. And I think people don't realize that they use AI every day. Like if you've got a smartphone sat in front of you on your desk, your face recognition, that's AI. if you shop on ASOS, right, and you get your suggested jeans that come up or t-shirts that you just can't not buy, that's AI picking that up, right? So I think it's not something that's scary. It's something that's just the next evolution of the tech that we're already using in the practices or in the businesses that we're working in currently. And having a solution that I think the issue with AI is the barrier to adoption, I think, at the moment is like it needs to be really accessible and really easy for people to use and just pick up and say, right, this is what I want to see, and it generate that. But then also giving people suggestions and making sure that they understand what it's looking at, why it's looking at that, and giving them a reason behind it rather than just blurting out an answer or generating an email in the style of a cowboy or whatever you might want to do when you're in your practice management or your Outlook or your email provider. That's my 10 cents on it, but there's definitely more to add on that. But I think at the moment, people that aren't adopting AI in the next year or two are just going to get left behind very, very, very quickly. Very quickly. They're not going to get replaced by AI, but they're going to get replaced by people that are using it.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Jordan loved that phrase, didn't you, mate? That's just the cheesiest.
I don't know if I agree with it. That's why I'm smiling.
Really? Go on.
To be honest, I don't really have fully formed ideas about the true implications of AI just yet. It's still something I'm really trying to juggle with and understand in my own mind. I think to say that in 12 months, people not using AI will be left behind is quite an aggressive view of what the future could look like. If we were talking over a longer term time frame, like 5 years, and allowing AI to really develop from where it is now into something that's actually being used widespread throughout technology. Because I feel like we're still in this phase right now of very much like hype. And one of the things you mentioned earlier with regards to why people are worried about AI, I think in part the technology companies are to blame for that, because up until this point, up until generative AI and the release of ChatGPT, there's been AI used in products for a number of years. Think about large language models and other forms of AI like that. No one has ever been really concerned about that AI because it's never really been spoken about. It's been talked about in terms of features and functionality and benefits of a product. But now we're actually shouting about AI from the rooftops. People are starting to go, oh, what's this AI thing? I don't really understand it. I'm unsure about it. I've seen these news articles about ChatGPT and how dangerous it can be for XYZ situations. And I kind of feel like maybe that's partly to blame because there's so much hype at the moment. But a lot of the hype is very kind of high level theoretical. There's not a lot of like very practical how-to stuff, at least not enough of it. So I think that there needs to be more of a shift into like, here is AI today, and here are the practical ways you can actually use it in a safe, secure way to benefit you and your clients. Take it away from this kind of place of like, AI is going to take over the world. AI is going to, replace people that don't use AI. I think I understand the sentiment, but I don't know. I'm a bit, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, it's not fully formed. I'm still trying to wrestle with it in my own mind.
I completely agree with you on that, right? I do think the likes of the bigger players in the market that have been shouting about AI, and you see all the controversy that's behind some of the bigger AI platforms, and you see what's going on in the news and the media, and people instantly form an opinion. And when you talk about AI, but I think the use cases of it are really, really effective and really, really viable in this space, in the accounting space. Like accounting is data driven essentially, and that's how AI works. Is based on data that you feed it and you give it information. As long as you control that and you're effective with that control, then I think there's nothing to worry about or to be scared about.
I'm gonna go in on Zero a little bit here, right? Just very quickly, because they released this Jax thing. Well, they didn't release it, they announced it. Then they said, this is going to shape the future of our customers. This is literally the language they're using on the website, so I'm reading it now. And they released this video showing you all of these things that Jax is going to do, but then they had this whacking disclaimer at the bottom that says, this outlines our vision for Jax. Future product features may differ. We're not obliged to deliver future features, and this information should not be relied on for purchase decisions. Now, you could read that and go, okay, they've got to do that because, stakeholders have said blah, blah, blah. I read that and I go, have you just kind of wanted to put your stake in the ground to say you're building something with AI in without actually considering whether or not this is what AI will look like in your product? I'm a bit of a skeptic, so I'm going to go for the latter. And I think like announcements like this aren't actually helping where we are today. I think they're creating more confusion and more controversy.
I love a good disclaimer as much as the next person, right? So first point on that one. Various other reputable cloud-based bookkeeping products and solutions are also available, and Jordan's words are that of his own predicament on this. So don't come and sue me. However,
Don't sue me. It's my birthday.
Yeah, now I've got my own disclaimers out of the way, guys. This has been emotional. We've had 29 minutes to be able to debate on a few topics in a few areas. What I'll ask you both finally, Jordan, if a business is a SaaS vendor and looking to get ahead when it comes to marketing, what is the best way for them to get in contact with yourself and or the relevant team member at Journey?
Oh, I mean, just search for me on LinkedIn or go to letsjourney.io.
Great.
Happy to have a conversation about how we might be able to help you. We don't work with everybody. Not everybody's a good fit. But if you are a good fit, then yeah, happy to chat about how we can help.
Lovely. Just search for him. Just search for him, guys, because he's everywhere. John Vickery. Who doesn't know John Vickery? Will, if you're an accounting partner and you're looking to look at usability of expert solutions, how is the best way for an accountant to get in contact with you?
Just search for me.
Just search for it. Is that on LinkedIn or is that your OF?
Just Google it.
Where we
No,
going?
search deep in your soul for Will Rush. Sit there and meditate and go, where is Will?
Well, I guess
yeah. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, obviously expert.io, book a demo, start a trial, have a play around with some accessible AI that's not going to damage your client's data.
Are you also
Great.
.io?
We're .io, mate, yeah.
Yeah, all the cool kids are .io.
All the cool kids.
All the cool kids.
We're global, baby. So listen, take that in whichever way you want. Will, do you also have a disclaimer that would upset Jordan on your website, or?
No, everything that we talk about we've already released. So
yeah, to be fair, kudos to Expert. Like, they've actually got a product with AI in it that works and is more than just like some weird, horrible external link to ChatGPT or like some hacked build of generative AI into the product. Like, it's truly functional AI that actually delivers on its promises. So well worth a look.
Exactly right. Yeah, and I wouldn't be working for them if it didn't.
And that had no inferment in any way, shape, or form to any other vendor releasing anything to do with AI. So I'll just add that disclaimer in for you there, Jordan, because it is your birthday, and I got your back, bro. We'll call that time, everyone. Thank you very, very much for joining me.
Busy over the next couple of weeks.
My what is? Sorry.
Your letterbox is going to be busy over the next couple of weeks, mate.
So it's a bank holiday weekend. At least it won't arrive till late next week.
Well, okay. On that bombshell. Thank you very much, everyone, and stay classy.
Cheers, fellas.
See you later, guys. Thanks.
Goodbye.